not doing the show. I'm not doing the show.
Oh, grow up.
No. It's not happening.
It's happening. It's happening. It was a matter of time.
I'm mad. I don't care.
It's the end of an era.
Truly. For those of you who are living under a rock, Joe Thornton has not re-signed with the San Jose Sharks, which, again, it's a necessary thing. I get it. But, oh, it hurts. It hurts so bad just knowing that you're going to see him playing in a not teal jersey. Yeah, I don't know. Again, we kind of figured it might be coming, but it's different when it's actually here. What's your reaction?
It's sad. It's kind of weird because I've always thought he was going to play, at least start with the Sharks and sign with the Sharks. And I know it's kind of a cap crunch. And I wonder, I mean, I think there's a couple of possible reasons of why he went to Toronto and didn't sign with San Jose, but we can get into that a little bit later. But it'll be weird. It'll be weird. It'll be, first time since 2005, I think, is when they had that losing streak, 10-game losing streak in November, and they went and traded for him. So, man, it's 15 years ago. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
In fact, that was my first season as a season ticket holder. First full season, because I actually got season tickets the year before when there was a lockout, knowing that there was going to be a lockout.
Pretty good season to start.
Yeah, well, not in the beginning. Those 10 games were brutal. And then it was like, wow, I just got my Marco Sturm jersey and he got traded. And there's a new number 19.
Well, speaking of jerseys, you're wearing one right there. You want to tell them about that?
Yep. We've talked about this in the show before. This is my cheap knockoff Joe Thornton jersey. In fact, I'll turn around. You can see the back. Totally not. So this was it's kind of a longish story. I'll try and make it short, but my dad did some business travel, not much, but some business travel when we were kids. And there was one time where he came back from somewhere. I want to say it was Colorado or something, not that much fun, but he came back and didn't bring anything back for us, the kids. And my mom just grilled him. And so every trip he went on, regardless, I mean, he got me this when I wasn't even living at home. I was way out of college.
Yeah.
Every trip he went on from that point on, he always brought us back something. So he went to South Korea, and he found this Sharks jersey. He's like, I'm just walking and there's a Sharks jersey, Joe Thornton Sharks jersey. I mean, this is probably around 2006, 2007. And he brought it home, and I was like, this is awesome. He probably paid $10 for it. Like, just, it's fantastic. But it looked.
Get on with it!
Nice. Yeah, so there's the story. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Jumbo.
Yeah, thanks, super producer Jason. That was excellent. Yeah, so, okay, he put it down there. If you're enjoying the stream, which we've just kicked off, at any point, feel free to throw a like down. It doesn't really do anything for rankings, I don't think, but it certainly does let us know that you appreciate what we're doing. So if you want to go ahead and click that, right on, and more power to you. So, okay, so what do we got right now? We've got Joe Thornton signs a minimum deal, league minimum, $700,000 a year for 1 year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Funny because that's where Patrick Marleau went, although he got signed for a whole lot more. But he's going to be in that locker room as well with the likes of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. So kind of them being able to take advantage of his years of experience and his wanting to help the youth, if you will, where they already benefited from Patrick Marleau. And we know that there was a very good relationship between those young guys and Patrick Marleau. So I'm sure they're going to love having Jumbo. I know, obviously, we have. We weren't thinking about doing this episode as a kind of an ode, really, like replaying clips or going over memories and whatnot. I'm sure we can certainly do that with comments and whatnot down below and everything. But for this, I think we were just going to kind of talk about the impact, really. So when you look at the players, we don't have the tweets. I don't think super producer Jason actually put on screen for you guys, but a lot of the players immediately came out after the news was announced saying how much they were going to miss him in the locker room, how much of a great player he was, how much he did for their careers, especially Kevin LeBanc, and how much they're just going to miss him being around the rink and in the locker room all the time. And we think about how Joe Pavelski not re-signing with the Sharks, how much that affected the locker room and the leadership that wasn't quite there. That's not a knock on anybody else in that room, and especially not a knock on Logan Couture being the captain. I'm sure he's a fine captain, but Joe Pavelski kind of commanded that room, it seems, and he got people to respond to him. So now it's kind of interesting to see, one year we lose one Joe, the next year we're going to be losing the other Joe. What is that locker room going to be like now? And we can only speculate, obviously, but you take that guy out of the locker room where he's just so loved by every single player. We saw tweets, Logan, Kevin LeBanc, Evander Kane, EK65, Burnsy, all of them coming out and saying, what a tremendous guy he is, what a tremendous player he is. And I just don't think the locker room is going to be quite the same. Interesting, though, Jumbo did reach out to some of those players to let them know what was going on. It's just the kind of guy that he is. I don't know, Aaron, if you had more that you wanted to say on that one in particular, but he did reach out to them beforehand, kind of giving them a heads up and letting them know.
Yeah, he called a few of the guys beforehand and to let them know personally before the news was going to break. So that was very nice of him. And amazing in this day and age that they did not go to social media right away and say something, Yeah, here's a great one from Eric Carlson. And it's funny, Eric Carlson and Vander Kane tweeted something to the effect that we're going to see him again in teal. And it's kind of like, do they know something that we don't? I mean, maybe he'll sign with the Sharks next year. Who knows? But yeah, and I kind of made a jokingly tweet saying, who knows, maybe the Maple Leafs aren't a playoff team this year and they trade him to a contender like the Sharks. And it was a joke.
Yeah.
Total joke. Someone bit into it too. And I was like, come on, man, that was total sarcasm. It's funny you mentioned the locker room because I was thinking about this. Joe Thornton is a very commanding presence in the locker room. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like the team was moving on from that era of Pavelski, Thornton, and Marleau. Granted, Marleau's coming back, but I don't think Marleau is as a vocal person. That's just not his personality. I mean, I don't know because I'm not in the locker room, but I feel like, and not that he's not a leader, but Jumbo is definitely a guy. He walks in the room, he's in the room. There's no question. So not that the Sharks didn't want him back. I'm sure they did, but it's also kind of a sign of the times of let's move forward and get a different vibe in that locker room. Because now you're only going to have from that era really is kind of Brent Burns and Couture kind of as a carryover, but he's still kind of on the youngish side of that new leadership group. You still got Pickles in there, but he's, I don't think he's as vocal either. I'm sure he is, but not as much as probably Couture or probably some other guys. So it does kind of change the vibe in that locker room, and that might be, I don't want to say it's better, but it will be different, and it might be easier to transition into the new era, I guess. But going to the Toronto side, it's fantastic for Toronto. They have a lot of very young guys, and they've had not very much playoff success in the last couple of years. They've had pretty good regular season success, but just not good playoff success. So this is probably going to help, solidify that group, and they could see from this guy who is 41 years old, like, holy cow, this guy can still play at 41. What is he doing so that I can watch what he does and do what he does so that I can play like that long and have that longevity. So same thing with Patrick Marleau coming back on the Sharks. He does the same thing for those other kids. He's showing them how to play and how to prepare, not just during the game, but before, after games, in between games, and just be a consummate professional. So good for the Leafs on picking up Joe. Now, I have a couple. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
I was just going to say there was something, and super producer Jason can't put this on the screen. One, we didn't prep him for it, and two, there's some language. But there was a tweet, or not a tweet, but it was like a meme kind of thing where they had Jumbo, and it was a fake quote, but he said, my old body can't keep up with going to the playoffs anymore, so I signed with the Leafs to make sure that I get exited in the first round. Yeah, that was pretty good. But yeah, so anyway, I'm sure you've got a comment somewhere in there you wanted to go ahead and wrestle up.
Who, me?
Yeah. Or something you wanted to say, or what was it?
Well, I was just saying, like, what was that? Well, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Thank you very much.
Well, I saw a comment in there saying that the locker room would be fine, that we're going to be playing for Patty, which I'm sure is 100% true. The nightmare scenario, of course, is Toronto versus San Jose in the finals somehow. Because as much as I want San Jose to win a cup, I also want Jumbo, and that would be hard, obviously, to root against him. But obviously, San Jose is the team. So
I know what I was going to say. There's a couple of reasons why he could have signed with Toronto. One, Canada is doing much better with COVID than the United States, so it almost seems safer. 2, it's closer to Switzerland, or should I say Sweden? It's closer to Switzerland, where his wife is from, and where he's currently playing right now until the NHL resumes again. And I think that was one of the bigger reasons. And it's probably close to his childhood home, closer than San Jose. Not that he probably goes back there that much, but being in Canada right now is safer than being in the United States because of COVID.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And the last reason, Toronto hasn't won since 1964. Is that right? I can't remember what year it was. Long time ago. If you win in Toronto, you will be immortal. Not that he's not already, but even more so. I mean, Toronto is essentially the New York Yankees of hockey, but take away all the championships since 1964, right? So you win a championship and you will be practically a god, just like our earlier jumbo god thing that we had up there.
Right. Get on with it.
That's always like a big like like a incentive to go into Toronto when Toronto is very good. They have a very good core, very good young guys that could put it all together. So again, if they put it all together and they go all the way, 1967, thank you, not 64. I knew it's somewhere in there. 3 years.
When it's that long ago, who cares?
Yeah. So that's almost 60 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
53. Yeah. Nice. All right. Should we dive into the comments? You got something more to say?
Yeah, let's jump straight into the comments. See anything good in there?
Nothing.
Where's Nicholas Egan when you need him? Jeez.
Zach did say Jumbo Joe has a no movement clause in his 1 year thing. I think he's going to have that from now on, just because he's not going to want to get traded without his say. Not that he won't get traded. If Toronto's out of the playoffs, he'll want to go somewhere. But that just gives him more leverage, I guess, or more control of where he would go.
Right. It's funny. I thought that he would have signed with the Sharks just to be close to home, like his home, his kids. I know home for him with his parents and whatnot, that's closer out in that direction. But I would have thought that he would have signed here in San Jose, bided his time until a true contender kind of emerges that might need a jumbo. But then you're kind of banking on them needing him. And if they don't, then he doesn't get traded, which is like kind of what happened last season, right?
Yeah. Illuminato did say, gonna need to see that as a reaction GIF MP4, probably the jumbo thing. Maybe we'll make that into a GIF. That'd be pretty awesome.
I can do that.
Yeah. The locker room will be fine. They'll be playing for Patty. I don't think they're gonna be playing for Patty. I think they're gonna be playing for a roster spot for next year. I have a feeling this year is gonna be another transition year.
Yeah.
It also depends on the year. If it's gonna be a shortened season, it's gonna be really rough. But if they don't get off to a hot start, then everyone's going to be like, oh, the Sharks are done. But at the same time, how many people have been saying to blow up the team, to start over, get a bunch of high draft picks, tank for a while, right? This is wherever the Sharks fans are, they're probably all bandwagoners. They're gone. And they've been telling them, complaining that the Sharks should be dumping a bunch of salary and playing terrible so they can get a high draft pick. Maybe this is the year.
Yeah.
And the next year, they're going to lose one player because of the draft for Seattle, right? The Kraken's going to take a player, a rostered player, and that's going to free up some more cap space. Hopefully cap space goes up some more, and maybe in a year from now, they're really going to have a deeper, stronger team. I don't know. You can't write off this season just yet, I don't think.
I'm not writing the season off at all, honestly. I know people think that the roster's not nearly as good. I think it's better than last season, but the roster's nearly as good. Frankly, I think the problem last season wasn't the personnel. I think the problem last season was in the coaching staff not being bad, but that their message wasn't getting through. I think the defense was not good. I think the goalies could have been better, although I don't put that as much blame on them as I do the whole team defense. And, when you've got 3 of your players, granted, they were more injured closer to January, yes, but when you're talking about the 27th ranked offense in the league, that's still, months worth of hockey that they could have played, 2 months, I guess, worth of hockey that they could have kind of righted that a little bit, maybe been more closer to the middle of the pack. Who knows if they caught fire there. But, I don't know. I think, again, that this season should be a lot better. And I think if people can stay healthy the whole way through, if Erik Karlsson kind of returns not 100% to his Ottawa, superstar days, but if he's if he's finally coming back without any sort of injury that's, nagging and leaning on him, and Brent Burns gets back to, a style of play under Bob Bugner, who helped him win the Norris Trophy when he was with the Sharks originally.
Yeah.
If we can get those guys cranking, I think that the forward core is really going to benefit from it. That's why we were so excited in the first place having Erik Karlsson here, was because you're going to have two guys, both right-hand defensemen, which means you're going to have 40, 50, almost 60 minutes a night worth of offensive defensemen that are out there, and they're supposed to help out all the forward cores. So if that's the case, those numbers should boost. It didn't work out last season, but if we have a system that's working very well with these guys and everybody can stay healthy, I don't see why this team could not be a playoff team. Maybe right on the bubble, right on the edge. I know saying a bubble team has got a different meaning now, but being right on the edge of playoff contention, sure, maybe they're not going to be contenders or considered contenders even. But I think they do have a legitimate shot of getting in there and doing a little bit of damage. So we'll have to see how that goes, and I'm really excited to see what Devan Dubnyk does, how he responds, how he bounces back, if he bounces back. So this is a season where I think a lot of good things can happen. Hopefully they will happen. Now, in the event that it doesn't happen, in the event that the Sharks are just as bad and they're not out of playoff contention, let's take a look at all of the one-year contracts that they have. Right, Stefan Noesen, Matt Nieto, Patrick Marleau, Devan Dubnyk. Even was Donato, is he? No, we signed him longer. But there's a bunch of guys that have 1 year left on their contract. It was Sorensen's final year actually too. So there's a good handful of guys that are depth guys that wouldn't cost teams too much in terms of the cap hit and whatnot, and they're veterans in the league. So I could definitely see if the season doesn't go well, us loading up on some picks by virtue of sending assets out. In which case, again, this isn't the deepest draft coming up, not as deep as this past one was, but anything that you can do to stock those shelves and get better. If you're talking about starting a rebuild, I mean, this would be the closest thing, right?
Yeah, we're setting up for next season, I think, the season after this upcoming one, I should say, to really be a difference maker, if you will. With one of those, I mean, if you look at the roster, I just shared that with you, producer Jay, if you want to throw that on there. Look at the 21-22 column. These are all the UFAs in red.
Yeah.
So Thornton, Noesen, Marleau, Nieto, Suomela, and Dubnyk all could be gone, plus one more player off of this list for the draft. Granted, the Sharks will be able to protect who they want to protect, but somebody's going to be left exposed and is going to have to be gone. So, I mean, if you look at, I'm sure Ferraro will be kept. Šimik, I could see. Maybe they expose Burns or Vlasic and get rid of one of those if they don't get traded this year, So there could be a lot of, or maybe even Kevin Labanc. What if Kevin Labanc goes?
Yeah, could
won't be complaining about that contract anymore.
That's true. And it helps Seattle get to that floor, right? The nice thing about this lineup here too. I mean, there's so many of these contracts that are going to be going away. I mean, imagine that you're Seattle and you're looking at the Sharks. Yeah, there's some big names, but we're going to be able to protect a good majority of them. If any of these guys want to get re-signed by the Sharks, they do it after Seattle makes their picks. Right. And Seattle's probably not stupid enough to pick somebody who's going to be a UFA, because that UFA does not need to sign with them, right? So I don't know. I think it's one of those things that maybe this is not such a bad setup, having these 1 year contracts on there, and the guys that we have left, you protect the guys that you want to protect, obviously, but then it gets real specific on who Seattle's going to have to choose from, right? So you're almost telling them who they can pick in this scenario. So maybe some good foresight there by Joe Will and Doug Wilson and Doug Wilson Jr.
Yeah, definitely. We got some funny comments from Anthony Sanchez. Today begins the first step that possible fan favorites will be traded in a season is a Barb murder. Followed up by, guys, I had to talk with the wife about Jumbo. She cried. Then I told her about Burns could be dealt if the season goes horrible, and she was sad, but she didn't throw a shoe. That's a win.
That's a win. Called acceptance.
That's because we've worn her down so much. Going, all right.
Wait. Anthony, did she run out of shoes? Is that why she didn't throw one? She ran out.
He locked up the shoe closet so she can't get in.
Finally wised up to it.
Yeah. Zach asks, who takes Jumbo Joe's spot? That's a
Yeah,
good question.
and I've been kind of noodling on this one. Sorry to cut you off. That Frederick Handmark, I think it's Frederick is his first name. Handmark, the guy that they signed, 27-year-old, I think. And Kevin Kurz had brought this up too during a call with Doug Wilson.
Mhm.
And he'd asked, is it fair to say, or is it safe to say that Handmark is probably the guy that you're going to be giving, the biggest look here? You probably don't sign a 27-year-old unless you think he's going to be able to help your big club. That was Kevin's point. I don't know if I 100% agree with that sentiment, but Doug Wilson did. He said, yeah, I'd say that's fair to say. So prepare to see Handmark or however you say it.
Handmark.
In the lineup on opening night, I'm sure. So either he's probably going to be a 3C or the 4C. See, the interesting thing for me is when you look at the roster and you look at the third liners, right? So I kind of penciled in Donato as the second line on the left with Meyer on the right because Meyer's played right wing. Although Donato says he can play either way, it doesn't matter. And then I've got obviously LeBanc on the top line because that's his whole thing. I've been saying I'm a top line center. I'm a top 6 winger in this league. So I have him penciled in there. We're going to make him, eat his food on that one, I guess. So then you've got Patrick Marleau and Nieto I have on the wings on the third line. And then beyond that, it's kind of filler. But I like Stefan Nason is down there too. Marcus Sorensen, I think I put on the fourth line as well. The 3C and the 4C are the interesting ones because you've got kind of a bit of a log jam in terms of who's going to be battling for those positions, I think. You've got Handmark, who I think is going to have the longest leash. I think he's definitely getting the look on opening night. Then you got Shellman. Shellman proved himself with Stefan Nason all last season. I think they did a phenomenal job on the fourth line, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get that spot. It's his to lose. But you've also got guys like Dylan Gambrell. You've got Antti Suomela, who they signed. You've got Noah Gregor, who played extremely well as well. So there's a bit of a logjam there. And Doug Wilson had talked about competition and not having enough competition last season. And that's kind of maybe where he felt he went a little bit wrong, was that guys were kind of thrown into the spot. They didn't earn the spot. So they weren't playing as hard to be there. They were thrown into that position, whether they were ready or not. So this season, you've got the signings of guys like Nieto and Marleau. Okay, great. Maybe guys that people weren't too overly excited to have back in the roster. I understand that. But it does give it to veteran players. And it does make the guys who are in the AHL work to get up to the NHL as opposed to throwing them into the lion's den, which I think is a much better approach. So I know a lot of people, we got to get younger. We got to get, every year you keep saying we got to get younger. I get that. But on a year like this year is going to be, I think it's not a bad idea at all to sign 1-year contracts to veterans, which is exactly what Doug Wilson did. Make the AHL guys earn that time, get them to come up. And then after all is said and done, season's over, you have 1-year contracts that you don't have to re-sign. So you can go from there, go to free agency, pick some of those guys that you think you need are those top 6 wingers, grab them if you need to, right? Because you can now, because you free up cap space and you have roster space. So, and the other thing is that those young guys were telling Doug, don't give my spot away. I want that spot. I'm going to fight for that spot. Do not sign somebody to give that spot away. And Doug had said that during that call, that these young guys are telling me this. They're hungry. So, there's going to be some competition, some really good competition for the third and fourth line center. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to that hunger, that desire. Combine that with a Bob Bugner style of play, with Rocky Thompson and John Madden helping him out. I don't know. I know we don't look like a very good team, but I really think that they can do some special stuff.
Yeah, we look at I'm going to show this on the screen real quick. I don't want to show too much, so I kind of cropped it a little bit, but this is behind a paywall from The Athletic from Kurz. This is kind of how he sees the forwards, kind of what you had said, but Meyer, Hertl, LeBanc on the top line, Kane, Couture, Donato on the second, Nieto, Handemark, Marleau on the third, Sorensen, Shellman, and Nason on the fourth. I could see this, and then you could see the extras: Gregor, Gambrell, True, Shemlevsky, Leonard, and Bergman are kind of just rotating in and out of the lineup throughout the year. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, I've got Couture and Kane on the first line and Hertl, Meyer on the second line, but beyond that, that.
I don't even know. Like, the top 2 lines are so interchangeable. I don't think it matters. To me, Couture is a better two-way forward. He's going to shut down the top line better than Hertl line. Hertl's more of the driving offensive line, I feel like. Whenever Hertl and Meyer were on the ice, they were doing some damage. They seem to be really dominating. So the Couture line, not that Couture is a very good very good center because he's both a two-way shutdown center as well as very, offensively gifted. So those two lines, I don't even really care. They're so interchangeable.
Sure, yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing where Couture and Kane always pretty much stick together, Hurdle and Meyer switch together, and then the other wingers just kind of interchange based on how they're playing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Marleau up on one of the top lines every now and then, just to whoever's got the hot hand in a way,
When the bank's not living up to his contract, you mean?
That's what I mean, yeah, without saying it. Yeah.
So mean to the
bank. Zach Croft asked, he would sign Anthony Duclair for cheap. Do you like Anthony Duclair?
Isn't he a left wing?
I think he can play both.
Okay.
I don't think it matters. And it's Duclair, not Declair. But he's kind of bounced around the league a little bit. And San Jose Hockey Now, we just had Sheng Peng on last week. He asked some scouts around about some free agents. And again, that's behind a paywall, so I don't want to give away everything. But they were not very high on him because he essentially takes nights off. And that's not the kind of players the Sharks are going to want. They're going to want guys that compete every night. Think about like how Kevin LeBanc was in the last season, right? Where there's just some nights where he just disappears. We can't have more players like that on the team. So I just don't see it as a good fit for the Sharks team. And to me, from what it looks like, the Sharks aren't going to be going out and getting a bunch of free agents, veteran free agents. They're going to get guys that are younger that could possibly play in on the future of the Sharks rather than getting a bunch of, older veterans to coming in here to fix the locker room, whatever. That's just not where the Sharks are right now.
Well, I saw the comment there saying Duclair can play left wing and right wing. I think Duclair is playing left wing or right wing because he's doing whatever he can to stick into the lineup. Just put me anywhere, coach, please.
Yeah.
But, one of the other names that got thrown around and was by Sheng Peng as well was Michael Grabner, who is a guy that I think would be great on like the third line, say, right? Lots of speed, good penalty kill, especially when you've lost Barclay Goodrow. You're not re-signing, what's his name? Melker Carlson. I've already forgotten it. MK68. When you're not re-signing either of those guys, and they're not returning, I should say, then, maybe it makes sense to have a guy who's maybe not so bad on the PK. But again, this is where you look back at what the players had said to Doug, and Doug kind of honoring that, saying, hey, don't give my spot away. And if you sign a guy like Michael Grabner, first of all, if you sign him to a 1-year minimum deal. So it doesn't hurt your cap at all, really. And from there, again, if we're not a contending team, a Michael Grabner might fetch you something, right? So, that could be a good deal for the Sharks, and one way or the other. He would fit into the roster, and if it doesn't work out, and he would certainly pull something back. So that wouldn't be such a bad thing. But I really don't think that the Sharks are going to do any more in terms of forwards. If they did, it would be moving somebody out like a Marcus Sorensen to bring somebody else who's closer to like a $4 million cap hit, somebody who can play on that in that top six, maybe more of a second line guy, but who could play in that top six, right? Somebody who's about ready for a new contract, maybe.
I would say probably a third line center more than a winger.
Maybe.
Because I don't think you're going to find a top six winger that's affordable. That's the problem.
Yeah, probably not. Although, again, it's Doug. You never know. Doug is just so good.
If somebody moves off and they get cap space, that's a different story. But right now, I think they're focusing on a right-handed shot defenseman that's on the cheap that play as a sixth defenseman, not someone who's a seventh or eighth defenseman, which, again, I'll plug Sheng Peng again. He had a great article asking scouts about a number of free agents that are available that are right-handed shots or left-handed shots that can play on the right side, and goes through each one in pretty decent detail too, explaining why or why not some scouts like them, if they would be a good fit or not for the Sharks.
Yeah,
because essentially this person's gonna be playing with Mario Ferraro as the third pairing. So I think their focus is going to be a right-handed shot defenseman. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see that signing for another week or two, because right now the free agency is kind of slowing down. It's also kind of, telling about the market. A lot of these players are not being signed for a lot of money or a long-term deal. So the market is kind of they're not paying as much because of the cap crunch. So you're going to see a lot of veterans or a lot of players just holding out, kind of waiting for something to come through, and then eventually signing, like, okay, and signing some cheap deal that everyone's going to say, wow, they got him for cheap. I mean, how many of those contracts have you seen everyone going, wow, the Sharks could have signed him for that? You know, like all these guys are signing in all these other teams. Why aren't they coming to San Jose? Well, look at those other teams and how much ice time and what line they would be on and what the potential is to winning. There's a big difference between San Jose and some of those other teams.
100%. I noticed a comment here by Malta de Montreal. He's trying to get a shoe thrown at Anthony, but we've already realized that Anthony's got the shoes on lockdown. He says you guys need to trade Burns, which is something we've talked about on the show repeatedly. But yeah, I mean, certainly if that were to happen, you know, and honestly, let me go back just a little bit. I feel like Burns might be even open to a trade. His buddy's gone. I've been to practices, lots and lots of practices. Now, I haven't been in the locker room, obviously, but dude, these two were such good friends, like ridiculously good friends. After practices, constantly sitting on the half boards, just sitting there chatting and talking, and they're always goofy. The thing with Jumbo is he may be 41 years old, but he acts like he's 14. He's a goofball. The guy is he's silly, right? And Burns plays right into that. If you remember, there was a picture I'll never forget. There was a picture of Brent Burns not long after we traded for him. They got on Air Shark at the time, and he had his Pokemon dolls, figures, whatever you want to call them. He had them out on his tray on the plane. Like, that's, you know, so their personalities, this young and kiddish and playful, that was definitely his buddy on that team. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if maybe waiving that is in the future for him, especially if he's like, well, which defenseman are you going to be protecting, right? Because obviously he's getting a little bit longer in the tooth back there. So does it make more sense to protect a Mario Ferraro, a Šimek, and or a Vlasic and Erik Karlsson, right? Does it make more sense to not protect Burns? And if so, obviously he'd get plucked. If he does or does not want to play in Seattle, maybe he drops that no movement clause. So who knows? You certainly could pull something back big for Burns, and if you did, you free up a ton of cap space. There's your top line winger, right?
And I always forget what the rules are for the Seattle draft and like who you can protect. Yeah, and I just looked it up. You can either do 14 forwards, or I'm sorry, they have to select 14 forwards, 9 defensemen, and 3 goalies. Like what? Yeah. The teams can protect 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, or 8 skaters and a goalie. So going back to the Sharks, I mean, let's just do 8 skaters. Next year they can do Couture, Kane, Meyer, Hertl, LeBanc. There's 5. And then 3 defensemen: Karlsson, Burns, Vlasic. Then you expose Šimek and Ferraro.
I don't think so.
You're going to pit probably Šimek and Ferraro will get protected, I think, just because how quality they are for how cheap they are. And then you're going to have to choose Karlsson probably. Maybe one more. Either Burns or Vlasic. So you're going to have 4 defensemen protected. Leave one of those guys exposed. And then if you do 4 defensemen, then you can only have 4 forwards. So that's Couture, Kane, Meyer, Hertl. Then you expose LeBanc.
If I'm Doug Wilson, the only reason that I'm exposing Erik Karlsson is because I think that they might not want to take on $11.5 million worth of cap.
But he has a no movement clause. I forgot you have to protect.
Yeah, and you have to protect him anyway. But there's ways around that. You can have them pick somebody who's not really on your, and then make a trade later on. So, like a handshake deal. Like, we'll give you Karlsson. We just make the trade, make him waive it or whatever.
I forgot about the no movement clause. Jones has one.
Yes.
So he can't.
Burns has limited, right?
Karlsson and Vlasic have one. Burns has a modified one. Jones is modified as well.
See it.
Couture, Kane, and Hertl all have modified. Timo Meier does not have one.
Yeah. So of all the guys, okay, let's say you have to protect all the guys that have no trade clauses, right? So then that eats away at your
6 of your 8 skaters.
What's that?
6 of your 8 skaters.
Yeah, exactly. So, having the no move clauses could be difficult. So I imagine that if he's in a pickle in terms of he wants to protect somebody, but he can't because somebody else is automatically protected, he probably has that discussion and says, look, what if we tried to move you, right? Especially if they're not going to be a playoff team. go out and try to win that cup, dude. You know, go for it. So it'll be interesting to see if the Sharks are not in playoff contention, the people who decide to, or the players that decide to waive those no move clauses and what comes back. But I mean, that's for way later on. Personally, I think with this roster and with the coaching staff, they're going to do a fairly decent job. I think they're going to overachieve compared to expectations. I think everyone's expectations of this team are so low right now.
True.
That I think they're going to make. I honestly do think that they can squeak into a playoff spot, and not like, oh, maybe they could. I think they will, but it would be right on the cusp.
I'm going to wait for any judgments until the rosters are set, until we see training camp. But
yeah, and again, you know, honestly, that right D position we talked about a little bit earlier. I know Sheng had said it don't think that a guy from the AHL coming in and playing is going to be a good idea necessarily. They tried that with the forwards, and I should have pushed back, but he's a guest, so I didn't. But my pushback now, with him not here to defend himself, would be that you had a lot of forwards that didn't have that competition, right? They were just kind of open and available, and you had to put them into the roster. Also, that there's more than just the one spot we're talking about. They were playing the full like fourth line, right? Or in some cases, they were up and down the lineup like throughout the roster. So that's a little bit different for me. When we talk about the right D position, we're talking about a position that's probably going to have, like I said, 10 minutes or less per night behind the juggernauts that are Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns. And he's still playing alongside of Mario Ferraro, who's phenomenal defenseman. And you wouldn't be putting somebody in that spot unless they were at the cream of the crop of the Barracuda. So it's not like they'd be so far behind. You're just throwing anybody you can in there. At forward position, it was a revolving door last season. That's a little bit different to me. We're talking about get a guy who might be ready for the show, give him a chance to play limited minutes. And if it's not working out, you know Burns is going to soak up the rest of those minutes anyway. Yeah. So I don't think it would be such a bad thing, but I do think that they're out there right now looking for that deal. They're waiting for somebody to get desperate and give them a really good deal on what they're willing to take for the season. And it'll probably come at a 1-year deal, which again frees them up right at the end of the season or at the trade deadline to be able to move that contract and get something back for it. So I don't know. I think either way, the Sharks are in not as bad of a position as some people would say that they're in. Are they going to be considered contenders? Absolutely not. Can they make the playoffs? I think they will. But even if they don't, they're set up pretty well for what would need to come next.
Yeah, there's a good comment here from Jorgen Bedstead. You have to go back to what Doug Wilson said on that call. Needs his top players to play well. Jones gets back to form. Burns being a bit more responsible and a healthy EK, and we're back as a contender. You need your top players to be top players, and I agree. If Burns and Karlsson can be 60-point defensemen each, the Sharks are going to be a good team. If Karlsson is not healthy or misses time during the season, the Sharks are not going to do well. If Burns can't put it together and he's only getting 40, 45 points, that's not enough. So, and we're going to have a different look. The whole system's going to be different. The power play is going to look different. Everything's going to be a lot different. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to say where they're going to end up, which is why I'm not going to say anything. Plus, the lineup's not completely finalized yet. So, but yeah, I think I'm not. I don't want to say I'm pessimistic where they're not going to make playoffs no matter what. Just looking at it on paper, sure, other teams look good, but on paper, a lot of teams look good. So, and then people get upset when the Sharks aren't signing players left and right. It's like, come on, like nobody wins a cup in, what are we in, October? Right? It's just, you can only do so much on paper. When you don't have the chemistry and you don't have all that stuff, it's just not as good.
It's funny because usually people say you can't win a cup in October because it's the beginning of the season. We're saying that because it's barely after free agency.
Usually I say that in July. You can't win a cup in July.
Yeah. Jan Ruta, Anthony Sanchez says Jan Ruta. That was one of the guys that I had put in there. When I had my cap friendly, I grabbed Jan Ruta. It sounded like he'd be a pretty decent fit. His cap hit wasn't so bad. I actually overpaid him probably at this point. But yeah, I think Jan Ruta would be a pretty good one. I think Bowie is it Madison Bowie? Sounded like another guy. Again, if you listen to our last episode with Sheng Peng, he goes over a couple guys, I think. And then in the article that he wrote, if you are subscribed to San Jose Hockey Now, which if you're not, go for it. It's worth the cost of admission. He does really, really good work. One of the best in terms of hockey writing and analytics and whatnot. So definitely give him a look. And again, like Aaron had said, he went over a lot of different defensemen, talked to a lot of different scouts, I believe is what it was. And, they gave their take on a lot of those guys. So guys that the Sharks might be targeting right now, maybe waiting for them to get a little bit more desperate to get the price down on them. They have the cap space, but, any little extra amount you can have for if you happen to be in a playoff position to bring somebody else in, I'm sure is, a welcomed sight. So I see we've got a super chat there. Aaron, you want to read that off?
Malted in Montreal gave us $2. I think that's Canadian $2. So it's probably like 50 cents. But
California.
Here's some cash for the team to grab a free agent, LOL. Thanks. That actually helps a lot. Every little bit goes a long way. So I appreciate it. Congratulations. Didn't Montreal sign Toffoli, right? They're the ones that won.
I think so.
Toffoli. They also traded away Max Domi. Ty Domi's son, Max Domi.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of surprising because I thought he was very loved in Montreal. But yeah, anyway, enough about the Canadiens. I had one picked up here and I forgot where it went. Someone was talking about, a couple of people were talking about signing Mike Hoffman. Now, Mike Hoffman does sound good on paper, but there's a lot of history from the Ottawa days when Hoffman and Carlson were teammates. So yeah, well, Zach said just kidding. Someone else I think was being serious about it. They will probably never ever play on the same team because it had to do with Mike Hoffman's girlfriend said something to. I'm not going to get into it. You can Google this, but said something to Carlson's wife after they lost their baby. I think it was pretty
entirely inappropriate.
Yeah, and that was kind of the end. That's I think when Carlson was like, "Get me out of here," and that's when Ottawa traded Hoffman first to San Jose, and then San Jose immediately traded him, flipped him to Florida, and then we ended up getting Carlson later that in the summer. So Hoffman will not be on the Sharks as long as Carlson's on the Sharks. Jorgen Bed said only if he got a new girlfriend. That's funny. I don't know if he has or not.
I don't think that would do it though. I think since he stood by the old one, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So, oh yeah, Malton in Montreal is he lives in Montreal, but he's a senator.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot about that. My bad. Honestly, I think I could see Duclair coming in. We just talked about this. I don't think Duclair's a good fit. And you were talking about what I'm thinking of the wrong guy, but the guy who's in Phoenix or Arizona, Grabner. Shang Pan goes in about Grabner too, about signing for the Sharks, and not a good fit because he disappears for time, and he also is not healthy. He can't stay healthy. He's kind of a smaller guy. He's very speedy, but he can't stay healthy. Doesn't throw his body around. I think the Sharks essentially got Michael Grabner in signing Matt Nieto. They got speed. He's been Colorado's best penalty killer, which is what Grabner is. So he's going to be – I think Nieto replaces Melker Karlsson. Has more speed, penalty killer, a little bit more offensive punch, I think. He's younger and definitely cheaper. I mean, you went from $2 million to $700,000. You can't get any cheaper than that. So I think that's a good replacement for Melker Karlsson, as sad as to say, because I don't know if Melker's going to be playing in the NHL again.
Yeah.
Thanks. Patrick Laine. Now, this one's interesting. Apparently, Winnipeg wants to trade Laine. Now, imagine the Sharks trade one of their defensemen.
Yeah.
Laine. What if they trade Burns for Laine? Would you do that?
Yeah, and honestly, again, I don't want to get Anthony Sanchez in any trouble here, but to me, again, that move makes sense. And the reason it makes sense is because you've already got supreme offensive talent in Erik Karlsson, so it's a redundancy. It's not like it's a problem. I don't mind having both of them there, but as we saw, when you take a look at the turnover numbers, it's not because they're bad, it's because they're offensive defensemen. It's because they're trying to move the puck up. When you look at the list of people who had the most takeaways, or giveaways, I should say, when we looked at it, at least 18 of the 20 were top paid defensemen. So that's just something you're going to get by nature of those guys being on the ice more often than anybody else. And by them trying to move the puck up, it's going to get picked off. They have lots of really great passes that result in chances as well, but that doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet because giveaways is a stat, right? So yeah, I could definitely see something like that being the case. Winnipeg needs defensemen. I mean, especially an offensively talented right-handed defenseman would be phenomenal for Winnipeg, I think. So yeah, a trade to get Laine in, sure. I don't think as many people were as excited about Laine as they were about Nikolai Ehlers, for whatever reason. I think maybe I think Laine might have a bit of an attitude problem or something. I forget what the read was on him, but
I mean, he's 22 years old. Laine. He's 22 years old, makes $6.75 million. Pretty much a 30-goal scorer every season. I think last season he missed it because they cut the season short, but he was on pace for it. And he's an RFA after this season, so he's going to command big dollars next season. Ehlers is 24, also very young. More of a playmaker, I feel like. Laine is definitely a shooter. Ehlers is making $6 million a season. Now, they're up against the cap. Right now, their cap space is $27,000. It is so close. So if the Sharks are to make a trade, it would have to be either multiple players or retain some salary to make the difference there.
We don't have enough salary cap to make a difference, though. So either we're talking a three-way trade, or they would have to make another trade with another team to free up some space to be able to bring Burns in so that we could take somebody off of their hands, right? So there's more to it than that. Like, it could get done. It could absolutely get done. And we talk about
the Sharks have $2.3 million in cap space. If they get two players coming back, Laine plus someone else for another $2 million. So it almost washes out.
Yeah, it would have to be a defenseman, wouldn't it, to fill that hole?
A right shot defenseman, right? On the cheap, Dylan DeMello.
Okay, I'd take Mello back.
They just signed DeMello, so they're probably not going to sign.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't. And it's multi-year, I'm sure, so that would mean the Sharks probably aren't as interested. So
Neil Pionk is another one. He used to play for the Rangers, and he went there.
We're not going to go through every single one of their players. All I'm saying is it can happen, sure, but it would take more finagling than just the one trade. Don't try to figure it out by, if we traded this and we traded that, and then if we added this piece in here and we retain this much salary and had this guy who makes this. No, it would be us trading for what we want, them trading for what they want, and then them doing something else to free up some more cap space to allow our trade to go through, right? That's how that one will work out. So if you want to try to crunch the numbers and you've got like the math symbols going on behind your head and everything else, you would have to do that from Winnipeg's point of view, because they were the ones that would have to be doing more if they only got $27,000 in cap space. I thought you were going to say $27 as a joke, to be honest with you.
That's pretty close. Not that much. Yeah, and
get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
There it is.
Get on with it.
What? We're just talking. Jesus, man. Okay. So yeah, what do you want to get on with then, super producer Jason? Jeez. Let's go ahead and look at some of the comments here. We got Anthony Greco. That's great. I don't know if that's where we're going. Would love Wheeler. Yeah. No, there's definitely guys in Winnipeg that would be nice. I don't know that that's going to happen though. So.
Yeah, I don't think the Sharks are going to add another right winger. I think that right shot defense, like we said earlier, right shot defenseman is going to be the target right now with that 2 whatever million that we got in space. 2.3, probably someone for $2 million.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit less, maybe a little more. But yeah, I just don't see it. I think our top six is going to be set right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll have to do another cap friendly and kind of put that out on Twitter again. People seem to enjoy that. So there we go.
Yep. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about then?
No, I was just going to go through the comments here, but
sure. Zinksy, Kevin LeBanc gets 20 to 25 goals this season. I hope. I think that'd be a big step for him, honestly. I mean, if he's getting that much minutes and that much power play time, I could see it happening if there's an 82-game season.
Yeah.
So there will be an 82-game season.
I don't even want to call it a big step. I think it's a necessary step. I think 20 goals is a necessary step for Kevin.
He had 17 goals 2 seasons ago. He had 14 last season, which was on pace to be about the exact same. 20 to 25 is very realistic, I think.
Yeah.
For the amount of ice time he will be getting, most likely not, according to himself, not getting demoted to the third line.
Yeah.
Then, I could see 20, 25 goals.
Yeah, I think he needs to score 20, 25 goals. Absolutely. When you're calling yourself out, like, okay, you bet on yourself when you said, I'm a top winger in this league, right? I'm a top 6 winger in this league. I'm going to bet on myself for a bigger contract, 1 year, $1 million. That fell flat. And then they give it to you this year anyway, 4.725.
Sure. They had a handshake deal behind that.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. They give it to you anyway, right?
You know what's great? Why the Sharks did that? Long-term planning. Because everyone in the league and outside the league knew that $1 million was BS, right?
Okay.
Then you go, okay, he's going to get his, and he did. If he didn't, then everyone would say, oh, man, the Sharks really screwed him over. I'm not going to sign there. It's a mental thing. Like, any free agents say, hey, they take care of their guys no matter what. I feel great going there, and that's fine.
I think the majority of players on the Sharks would be able to tell that story without having to have one instance of signing Kevin Labanc to a handshake deal. It's overpriced. Unless Kevin scores that 20 to 25 and is truly a top line winger, not even top line. If he's a top 6 winger, right? Then okay, fine. That is good money for him. But if he's going to go out there and score 17 goals again, I don't think so. For me, that's not enough. I don't care if there's a handshake behind closed doors. That's just not enough. So for me, I think 20 goals is a necessary step. 25 goals would be a big step. Yeah, sure, but he needs to reach that 20 goal plateau for me.
Well, Tyler Toffoli, right? Everyone wanted Tyler Toffoli to come in.
Okay.
What was his deal? I think it was cheaper than Labanc, right?
I forget. He was in the $4 million though. I think. Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick.
He scored less goals, and that's your point.
4.25.
Okay.
4.25. Kevin Labanc got $500,000 more than that.
Okay.
Toffoli has never. I don't think he's ever scored. Has he scored 30 goals?
I don't know. Has he scored 20?
He's got 31
we're talking about.
one time. 31 goals.
Okay.
He's never gotten his best year. 31 goals, 27 assists for 58 points.
Okay.
I think Labanc has more potential than that. Plus, Toffoli's older.
Yeah.
Toffoli's already 28 years old. This is the best you're going to see Toffoli. This is not the best you're going to see Kevin Labanc. I'm defending this because they are signing for the future, not for what he had done. Toffoli, I feel like they're doing a little bit of both, but I never really liked Toffoli's game because I feel like he disappears for a long time. I don't think he's consistent. To me, Kevin Labanc, offensively, I haven't really seen him disappear that much. He always seems dangerous on the puck, on the ice, when he has the puck in the offensive zone. His defensive zone obviously needs work, and that's what he's been focusing on. That's fine. But his offensive side, I feel like, has more potential than Tyler Toffoli's did.
Okay.
Sorry.
Tyler Toffoli scored 30 goals, and Tyler Toffoli scores more than 20 goals per season usually, right?
My light just fell. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Tyler Toffoli. Wait, say it again?
Does Toffoli score more than 20 goals per season on the regular?
20 on the regular.
20 on the regular. That's
one time he scored 30.
Okay, I need Kevin Labanc to score 20 goals.
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, Toffoli scored 12, 23, 31, 16, 24, 13, 18. Actually, 18 plus 6, 24. So, and that was a contract year.
I need him to score 20.
I'm just saying, whatever.
He scores 19? I want 20. All right, what do you got? If Meyer is a 50 to 55 point guy, $6 million seems like a lot.
Meyer needs to be a 30 goal scorer.
Okay.
I think Evander Kane, Timo Meyer, possibly Couture need to be 30 goal scorers. Labanc, 20. Donato, I'd like to see 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Marleau, I'd be happy with 15 goals from Marleau. I think that'd be a very good year for him. Very solid.
Absolutely.
His always comes in spurts, so he'll get like 2 or 3 goals and then go silent for another week or two. Nieto, I'd be happy with 12 to 15 goals. That would be an amazing year for him, I think. Probably 10. 10 would be realistic for Nieto. 3 of those shorthanded.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. There's our goal scorers.
LeBanc had a 56-point season, and Toffoli's best was 58. Yes, but LeBanc is also making $500K more right now, is my point. So I want that money.
He's also 4 years younger.
Yeah, that's great.
So he's got, I don't know, whatever.
I don't care how old or young. You could be 41. You better put the points up if you're getting paid for it. So, and again, you're betting on yourself and you bet on yourself for the future. That stepping stone better be 20, and the next stepping stone could be 25, and then we'll talk from there.
All right, top of the hour. We're going to do roll call. Tell us where you're watching from and what is your favorite Jumbo moment. While you tell us about that Jumbo moment, we are going to throw a sale in our store. We have a lot of merchandise that we need to move, so let's get selling, boys and girls. We are going to do 19% off in memory of Jumbo, and the banner's at the top of the website in case you forget it. It's going to be Jumbo 19. It's going to be good until October 19th. How about that? The 19th again, until just about right before midnight. So
wait, October 19th?
Yeah,
only 3 days.
Well, get buying.
All right, hey boys, get your orders in now, but I'm gonna work them to see if I can get them to extend that a little bit. Okay, I'm working for you.
We'll see. Anyway, go to our store, help support the store, help support the show, the store, help support the show, and get some stickers, some hats, some cool shirts there. And
yeah, if you guys are enjoying what we do here, this is the one of the best ways to help support us in doing what we do. You know, we've obviously upped our production value just a little bit here. Oh, thank you, Aaron. It's very nice and wrinkled. That looks blue, but it's actually like a tealish. It's kind of like a lighter teal. But yeah, so this is definitely one of the best ways to help support the show. We know a lot of folks out there that would like to do something for us, and this is a great way of doing it. So if you can show your support with a hat or a shirt or some stickers, and if you do purchase some things, as we've had a couple people buy some stuff recently, and we're asking them to do the same thing, please send us some of your pictures of you wearing your swag. We have a friend of ours from Twitter who sent in a picture of them wearing the shirt and the hat, and we love seeing that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you guys for all of your support over the 2+ seasons that we've been doing this so far. It really does go a long way in helping us make all of this possible. And we know we try to do nice things for our guests too, give them a little gift or something like that. And sometimes that comes out of our pockets. So any little help that we can get monetarily, obviously, certainly does help. Again, thank you guys so much. And for those people who gave us some super chat, I think it was Malted was one, if not the only. But Malted, thank you for the $2 Californian. It's the CA stands for, right?
Canadian.
So, yeah, I know. We do appreciate that. Like you said, every little helps. And I do think it's really cool, by the way, that we have a recurring Ottawa fan living in Montreal who comes and frequents the show. Again, it's just super cool. So thank you for that, man. I really do appreciate it. And for everybody else who's Sharks fans and you guys have been constantly tuning in to our show, again, we appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of fun, and we look forward to keep doing this for the rest of this season and seasons to come.
Yeah, let's see. We got one in Calgary, Kyle, and Kyle also wants to know where my Jeep is. My Jeep is actually in the shop. It's getting fixed up and new tires and everything, so it's going to look real sharp. In fact, when I brought it in to get it fixed up, the person driving it to go bring it to the little stand was like, "Wow, that's a really nice Jeep," because it's very old. You don't see them very much anymore. It's 15 years old. It's an 05, which is the same year I had season tickets for the first time.
There you go.
Year, Jumbo was on the Sharks.
So we got Mystical Edenflower asking favorite Jumbo moments. It was when he trolled Henrik Sedin with his finger.
Yes.
Mystical, were you reading my tweet? Here's my tweet here, okay? Favorite Jumbo moments they asked for, and I had said the Jumbo slide. You guys remember that? Where he actually took a knee to the back of the head as he was sliding through center ice. Check the replay. The no-look pass to Marleau, I believe it was against Dallas, right? Trolling Sedin with the finger to the nose while he was talking to the ref. He was talking to the ref, and he's pointing over there, and he went like this to Sedin's nose. Awesome. The boys reacting to his hat trick celebration at practice. If you frequent our Twitter and Instagram, which I don't know if it's on the screen anywhere here, Super Producer Jason maybe can throw it up real fast. at the Fin Factor on Twitter and at Fin Factor on Instagram. We posted this stuff up. It actually got some airtime on NBC Sportsnet with Brody Brazil. They put it up there showing all the guys at practice doing the jumbo celebration. He was just doing this. It was really, really funny. If you have a chance, go check it out. I think it's pinned on our Twitter. Is it not, Aaron?
It's also pinned on our Facebook page.
Okay, there you go.
We don't have that many Facebook likes, so everyone go to our Facebook page and like it.
Go to our Facebook page and hit the like button, please. We're feeling lonely over there. So the boys reacting to the half-year celebration. Thank you for putting that up there. Defending Hurl's 4-goal game with the Rooster comment, obviously. Shirtless Joe walking around with the shirt off. They made the bobble out of that. And then I said I ran out of Carrick, and I put ... and that was the end of my character list. So, Twitter needs to have a little bit longer maybe, or I just need to stop talking. Regardless, lots and lots of really great jumbo moments. It sucks having him gone. It sucks knowing that he won't be returning in Teal. At the same time, it's necessary. I get it. So hopefully the locker room can move on without him, because I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle. No pun intended. That's going to be the biggest hurdle for this team, getting over him not being there every day. Imagine you're at work and it's one of these guys who's really fun to be with and everything, and then all of a sudden he takes a job offer at a different company. It kind of sucks working there, so hopefully that's not the case with the Sharks. Hopefully they can stay professional about it, and hopefully Bob Bugner makes it a good, fun system, gets them being creative, gets them winning, and it's something they can move past. Oh, beautiful. Oh, we have no audio? I guess we can't do audio, but this is Brody Brazil talking. This is actually my video from my phone. I'm surprised it doesn't look horrible. But you can see, there's Melker, there's Pavs. They're doing the jumbo celebration. Actually, the little kid in that there, that's Pav's son Nate playing in goal, and the boys are playing with them on the rink. Must be nice, huh? Jeez. So it was just a cool video. I just happened to hit record, and they were going for it, and it was really just something that was awesome to be able to catch while I was sitting there watching them do. It was actually right before practice, so really, really cool moment.
I'm trying to think what my favorite moment is. I think the Rooster thing was pretty darn funny. He'll never live that down. In fact, Ed Hernandez said, I was at the Boston game where Jumbo scored the hat trick, and it's been the only hat trick game I've been to. I've been to a lot because I was there the year Chichu scored 1 million of them. But the whole NHL was watching at that point, because they knew there was an empty net at one point in that game, and Jumbo was on the ice. And they knew if he got that 4th goal, what was going to happen. Everybody except the Boston Bruins wanted him to score. And that was the game. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
That was the game where they scored that goal in the last 10 seconds with a high touch. Not a high stick, but a high touch. And they didn't call it, and then they changed the rule because of that game.
Yeah.
The following season. It was very unfortunate. That was a game that they should not have lost.
Oh, Kyle, we're a family-friendly show, so we really can't explain that one for you. But if you look up, gosh, what would you say, Joe?
Well, let's just. I'm not going to say what was said, but
okay.
It was the game where Hurdle scored 4 goals. He was a rookie. He scored 4 goals against the Rangers, which I was at that game as well. And the media was asking him a bunch of questions and just hounding him, and they were like, oh, was it kind of disrespectful to score 4 goals? Why did you have to do that kind of thing? And poor Hurdle barely spoke English at this point. This is his rookie season. And Jumbo was in the back and made a little quip. That's all you need to know, is he said something off the cuff. And it's really unfortunate that it kind of got out of the locker room too, because I think that bottles up more players from saying stuff like this. Yeah. Oh, now I remember.
Yeah.
So they call it the Rooster trick, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Rooster trick. If you get
Jumbo gets 4 goals.
Yeah. Well, if Jumbo got 4 goals, right?
Anyone gets 4 goals, it's a Rooster trick. There you go.
Good stuff. Anything else you want to talk about, or any last comments you want to address here?
And what else is there to say, man? It's really sad that he's gone. I'll say this: there will never be a number 19 on the Sharks again. Guaranteed. That's going to the rafters.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if 12 is done too once he retires. Those two I could see being lifted up.
For sure. Yeah. I think Patty's going to break the games played record. And that'll happen this season. And then, shortly after he's done retiring, I don't think they're going to waste much time.
Yeah, assuming he doesn't get hurt or the season's not short.
Yeah.
Patrick Cabral, roll call. You are too late, my friends. Scroll up a little bit.
We already did it, Patrick. Tell you what, Patrick, you sound off, buddy.
It's good to see you, Patrick. It's been a while. Justin, on paper, are the Leafs that much better than the Sharks? Definitely.
Yes.
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 Just Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, John Tavares. I don't know. I mean, it's great to look back. The John Tavares versus Carlson debate, because I feel like it could have gone either way for the Sharks. Tavares could have picked San Jose instead of Toronto. But at the same time, that very first season, the Sharks went to the conference finals against St. Louis. And Toronto got knocked out in the first round, I believe, again, even with John Tavares. And then the same thing. Did that happen this year, this last playoffs? They got knocked out in first.
I honestly don't remember. I was not paying attention because I was.
Yeah, they get knocked out so early that you don't even remember.
I was grumpy.
But that's my point. Like, I don't know if there's really a winner in that situation. But anyway. Other than the early exits. During the regular season, absolutely. They are a better team. Playoffs, that's why Jumbo's going there.
I feel like we're going to... I feel like we're still going to overachieve overachieve compared to expectations. I think everyone's expectations of this team are very, very low, and maybe I'm just ever the optimist. Obviously, last season I thought we were going to do really well, but last season did not go as planned. With just the names on paper, if they were playing up to where they could play, that last season should have been a lot better than it was. Same thing for this season, I think. But I think this season the difference is the coaching staff is different. The look is going to be different. The power play is going to be different. They're going to have emphasis on better stick positioning on defense. We've got a guy who is not a career backup in the NHL as a 1B or perhaps the 1A. We don't know. So there's a lot going on there, and I think there's enough things that are changing, enough moving parts for us to not say this is insanity. It's the same thing that we're doing and trying to have a different result. I think there's enough things that have changed, specifically with the coaching staff, that it's going to be different and hopefully better, and we'll just have to wait and see. But it sucks that we're not moving forward without Jumbo on the team. We wish him the best. If the Sharks are not in the playoff hunt and the Maple Leafs are 100%, I'm absolutely, I'm sure everyone would be rooting for Toronto Maple Leafs to get the job done. Get that man's name on that cup. He deserves it.
Absolutely. But I don't want to see the Leafs win. Sorry. I like having those long streaks, especially when they're longer than the Shark streak of not winning a cup, just continuing, because then it just gets funnier and funnier to non-Leafs fans. I would love to see it. Like when the Cubs won not too long ago, I didn't want them to win. When who's the other long time? The Red Sox, I guess, a while ago. I was like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer, because the Cubs were like the butt of every joke that they can never win. That's kind of like the Maple Leafs. They're the butt of every joke. They can never win. So I kind of like leaving the butt of the joke on other teams and not the Sharks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm salty. Whatever.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yes, and Super Producer Jason, thank you for putting that in the comments there. If you enjoyed this stream, feel free to hit that like button. I saw we had a lot of dislikes for some reason. I don't know. I mean, hey, any interaction is fine with me, guys. If you're not liking us, then you want to hit the dislike button, that's cool. But you were here.
We'll take the haters as well.
You were here to hit that dislike button for any amount of time. So we do appreciate you as well. Obviously, the people with the thumbs up will have much longer and more prosperous lives. So feel free to hit that one there. And if you've not hit the subscribe button, again, we don't bombard your inbox with a bunch of useless junk. We do live sessions like this. So even if the topics aren't something that you're totally interested in, it's you being able to bring those topics up. So if you like Talking Sharks hockey with us, feel free to subscribe, because when we do go live, you'll get that notification as long as you've hit that bell. So that is it, I think, for episode. This is episode 94, is it not?
Correct.
We didn't even say Korolyuk, but we said in the last 2 episodes anyway. Korolyuk was the guy there. And normally I would open the show with, "Hey everybody, my name is Paul," and I was just upset.
You're still upset.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Anything else you want to say then?
Get on with it!
See, he's gonna overuse it. It's not gonna be funny in like a week, dude.
Get on with it!
It's still gonna be funny.
Is there anything else, Aaron?
No.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, for super producer Jason, Jumbo as God, I am Paul,
And I'm Aaron.
and I'm gonna go cry now. I'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Get on with it!
Enough.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube. Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.